From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, Mr. Todd Jones is joining me to talk all about copywriting, and we're going to talk about remixing content and getting more life out of your content. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I have my good friend, Mr. Todd Jones with me. Hey Todd, how are you?
Oh, pretty good for a Monday morning.
Yeah, but welcome to hot and sweaty North America is about the word for it, I think.
Buddy, that's every year in Arkansas, and we have fortunately not been as bad as we have in years past. So we're still getting the heat indexes in the 100, but the temperature hadn't been it's like 95 as high as it's been here. So, but it's hot and humid. So welcome to Arkansas in the summer for sure.
Yeah, and welcome to Canada right now too. So today we talk about something. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Toronto's got interesting weather. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Dakotas. Like you get the hottest of the hot, and you also get the coldest of the cold. And it's just like you don't expect that being so far up there. So
yeah, we had bad thunderstorms yesterday morning again. They roared in. It's sunny out there right now, but a little on the overcast side. We're going to hit some bad thunderstorms today again. It never ends, so that's the way it is.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah. Today we talk about something that you entitled "The Art of the Remix." So let's kind of go there. What's on your mind?
The art of the remix. So you and I have been in this game a while, and typically what people will say is repurpose a lot of times. Our friend Ross Simmons will talk about distribute, which I love the term. It's a verb for doing the art of the remix. I like to say remix because you're remixing content that you share. So what you have, I think in this situation, depends on the kind of business you have and what kind of content you create. But if you are the kind that a business that regularly creates content on your blog, your articles and your website, that kind of stuff, you would be a really good candidate for remixing. And certainly a lot of businesses really thrive on social media content, and that's a whole different game. But if you are creating regular content on your website that you can then use to remix. I say remix because you're mixing it, but you're repurposing as well. You're giving it new purpose. You're giving it new life. But I say remix because what you're going to do is you're going to distribute that on various platforms. And so you and I have talked about this, and we maybe not so directly, but we've kind of mentioned it in passing. So 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you put out a new podcast. Hey, check out my new podcast. Drop the link. Call it a day. People will actually click that link and go look and listen to the podcast. You don't work that way no more. You got a lot of reasons why. A lot of it has to do with the algorithm, right? The algorithm does not reward simple, monotonous type of content. It rewards more engagement, that kind of thing. So but just put it so like you published a podcast this morning, and I didn't look at it. I've already shared it, but I haven't looked at it and created a newer version. But I did that with one last week that you and Ryan had put out. And so what I did is I created kind of an engaging content that focused on the emotional part of the topic Ryan called it clickbait, but it's not the definition of clickbait. It might be clickbait-ish, but
Mm-hmm.
it had a strong hook. It tapped into the story you guys talked about, and finished with the value of you guys need to have a web security plan, which you and Ryan do. And so
we do.
now remix that, if you will. But there are other ways to remix as well. But that's what I'm talking about when I say remix. Now you may remix in like what you could do is, like, if you got 4 or 5 salient points, you could turn that into a carousel that you could put on LinkedIn, those types of things. So the first question I would ask is, why do remix? If somebody's listening online, or what would I do to go to that much trouble? Well, one, you save resources. The mantra of continue to put out lots and lots of content, that is not as feasible for a smaller company as it is maybe somebody who's got all the money in the world and the budget behind putting out 10 posts a week on the website. That's not feasible for most companies.
There's a big difference than a Fortune 500 brand who has millions of dollars in their marketing budget to an entrepreneur who owns a store, exactly, or even a very successful store. And I'll use my friends who have the jewelry store. They put out content, but for them to do that and run their business and do their store, and part of it is there's 2 factors to it. One is entrepreneurs trying to do too much, which is a discussion for another day. We all know that. And you know my theory on that one. If you can't do it, get somebody to do it for you. And number 2, you can't be on every content all the time, 100%, and make everybody happy. It's just physically impossible.
Yeah, that's another discussion, like how many channels you use. That's another discussion I choose, was not worth talking about here. But so the first reason to remix is to save resources. So, or basically, extend your resources, really. Exactly. So you got a business to run, you got customers to take care of. It's vitally important to do brand marketing. It just is. But instead of putting out 10 posts a week on your blog, or even 3, take the one good solid one you have and turn it into 20 other pieces. And that's what Ross would say. So the second thing is, second reason is reuse your remarkable content. So I'm assuming that you are reusing content that you have created that fits what I call remarkable criteria. And usually that is your authority content, your IP content. I call that what do they call it? Your intellectual property content. That's your signature content. That's a discussion for another time too. But you want to take that content and you create different assets for different platforms, because every platform wants what's native. They want it native. They don't. In fact, people are talking about 0-click content. I don't know that we talked about that so much in this post, or in this show. But 0-click content is where you really don't have a link on your social media content. You just create extremely good, valuable content, and
the problem with making all content native. So let me give you an example. I was working on something this morning. I'm in the process of putting out a short video clip, and I do video shorts a couple times a week, just quickies, nothing special, unedited, on a topic, like 30 seconds, 90 seconds.
Right.
The problem where you get into problem with reusing content is sometimes the platform restrictions. So for example, if I take a 90-second video, I can upload that to YouTube Shorts. I can update the Facebook. I can put it on LinkedIn. I can do it on X/Twitter. The minute I try and upload that to Blue Sky says, no, go away. Why? Because the video is too long. A 90-second video. So that's your other issue is we get into this. It's nice to reuse, but you got to reuse and make it native based on the platform restrictions. So the way I end up having to get around it, unfortunately, is I will post a link to the YouTube video on Blue Sky and be done with it.
I sense Blue Sky to be more of a text platform, so they don't really want very much for video. So yeah, I would print out. I don't know what your text limit is, but a short description of it with a link
Yep.
to, like you
Yep.
said, the YouTube or whatever. Short that would be. But anyway, that is a second reason for remixing is to reuse the content you've already created that's already remarkable, and you can remix it in various platforms and assets for various platforms and assets. The third reason is to reach new audiences on the platform. So we're actually talking about it. These kind of all work together. So if let's say you decide you are going to try out Blue Sky, you can create a native, piece of content for Blue Sky. Uh, what's the other one? Mastodon. So I'm on both of those as well. I don't go there as much, but those are, you can reach new audiences and on new platforms. And we all know at this point in 2025 in business, if you don't know, you need to pay attention to this. Every audience on each platform is completely different, almost completely different. If you created like 5 classrooms and each classroom had their own culture, one would be LinkedIn, one would be Facebook, one would be Instagram, one would be Twitter. Maybe one is Blue Sky or Mastodon. They all have different types of people on there. They have a different culture. Even Threads. Oh my gosh, Threads can be barbaric sometimes the way people act on Threads. So anyway, they're all different. So you can reach new Reddit. Oh, by the way, I don't talk much about Reddit. I am trying slowly to wade into using Reddit.
Yeah, it's
largely because I have a couple of connections who are bullish on Reddit. One is Ross Simmons. He's bullish on Reddit. Number 2 is Ann Smarty. They're both bullish on Reddit, and I'm still like in an observation mode. I've been on there for years, mostly as that lurker, who looks at stuff, but actually using it. I've ventured out into the more business type subreddits and offered some valuable thoughts, and mostly got positive feedback for them. But I'm still learning. But that's another platform. And if you go to Reddit and choose to use Reddit, keep in mind they have their own culture, and it's vastly different than LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook.
And then to complicate it more, you can throw in a site like Quora, and who's got a totally different culture even on top.
Yeah. What Ann and her team will do is they create value-driven infographics, and they will share them on Reddit, and it works really well for them. So those are what I consider the 3 reasons. I'm sure there are more, but those are 3 reasons. Save resources, reuse content you already have that's remarkable, and reach new audiences and platforms.
Yeah.
So,
and I think one of the reasons for changing the content a little bit when you reshare it is to find that new content, those new people. Because if you're going to put out the same old content on X, and you're going to put the same thing on LinkedIn, and you're going to put the same thing on everywhere, are you really going to attract different people? Probably not. So you got to think about that too.
I have a little story on that, and I didn't mean to share this, but it actually just showed up this morning for me. My friend Talia Wolf, who put out the book Emotional Triggers. If you're really interested in psychology and emotion, how that persuades people, and especially your copy, that's a good book to get a hold of. But she told the story about when she was about to launch. This is like her signature book, right? Like she had her career had gotten, it was a crescendo moment for her. This is the book, right? And like I think she said 7 days before, she decided at the last minute to change her cover. She had kind of made it, for the LinkedIn world, a little bit corporate-y, whatever. And she went back and kind of went with her instinct. She said she had always been a fan of comic books. And she went back and changed her book cover to look more like an illustration from a comic book. And it opened up a new world of people to her that had a love of comics like her. Actually, some of them she already knew. I think it just connected further.
Yeah, because she wasn't doing the same old thing, and when you do the same old thing, you attract the same old people. And sometimes you got to make a marketing change to be able to attract different people. It's a really good idea, folks.
So I guess if I ever write a book, I'm going to have a comic looking illustration with a wrestler on it. So
Yeah.
And
What
then
else
in
is
his
there?
background, a dirt track car racing. Anyway,
I'm
okay,
probably a title belt in the middle of it all. I know.
maybe and a cup of coffee. So anyway, what do you need? What is it you need for doing remix? And we've actually already talked about some of these things, so I'll just kind of go through it a little fast. First of all, is evergreen content, or what I call IP
Yep.
content. I picked this
Yep.
up from Brendan Hufford. I use that because I like the term IP content. I eventually want to have a Todd spin on that. Like signature content is something I have used before, but you know, there's this, we would call it pillar content in the past. But whatever your IP content is, that is an actual, that's what you need to take and use to remix. And you can probably, each piece, you can probably find 20 angles to remix it in. And the second one, these are just ideas, okay? A podcast episode you've been on, whether you are the host like you do, or if you've been on it, most of us don't host one. We appear on them. So I will do this a lot with the ones that I'm on with you. Like take the podcast episode, get the transcript, find an angle, write a post for LinkedIn based on the podcast episode. Try to get, you know, a little bit more engaging. So if you're a business owner listening to this, I know you just put out a podcast episode with Tim Nash. You know, somebody like Tim would take that podcast episode and find a way to remix it for various platforms. Most of you guys who do podcasts do a great job of creating shorts of the podcast episode. So that's a great thing to share as well. So featured articles you've been in. I've been working on redoing my website. And one of the things I redid was my featured page. And I found a handful of featured articles I've been in. And like, oh, I haven't gone back and done this, but I could really take those articles and remix it, reformat it, repurpose it, and kind of like drive interest back to the article.
If you look, I actually have on my personal site, not on my agency site, but on my personal site as a link to it, I have a list of all the articles have been featured in, plus all the other podcasts have been featured in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've reused that content there.
It's actually a great thing to have, and I would like to see people do it more often. And
social credibility has a lot of. It's otherwise known as a credibility enhancer, as we call it in the biz. It's a big deal.
I call it credibility boost.
Yeah, you saw last week I had shared out an article where Rocket.net quoted me on security, and here I am. I have to add that one to the page today. Here I am pimping out security services, and they come along and quote me word for word. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Thanks, so Rocket. An easy way to do that, in my opinion, is to give a lead like, this is what I was thinking. And you say something like, this is what I was thinking whenever I gave a quote to Rocket.net. And then this is what I told them. I actually did this the other day with one because I was used as a subject matter expert in an article about pages from Andy Crestodina. I actually did the same thing with a LinkedIn post last week. This is what I was thinking when I told Andy, was quoted by Andy Crestodina in his article. It's one of my favorite ones to quote that I was in. So, but anyway, that's a great one. So we're featured in an article. That's a great thing to remix and put your own spin on it. And you still put the article's link in there so they can go look at the article. But you're featured, and when you're featured in a company like Rocket or Orbit Media, that's a good credibility booster. So I've
also been featured in a couple of WP Minute articles lately as well, just talking about channels and stuff. And thanks to those guys. What I'll say about the Rocket article, interestingly, they went and found the quote. I didn't give it to them in this case. Okay. So they actually grabbed the quote out of a conversation I was having, or out of a podcast. I was out of a podcast, I think, and they grabbed it right out, and they grabbed the quote to enhance their article, which just for me,
you are a subject matter expert for them.
My expert. Yeah. Keep going. Thanks,
In
Sean.
fact, when you're quoted in an article like that or featured, especially if you're quoted, um, that's called being a subject matter expert. It's great article writing by the writer, and that they actually went out and got a quote from somebody who's a subject matter expert. That's what Andy did. We actually had a call for about an hour, maybe 30 minutes, and just chatting about stuff. And he was getting my thoughts and on some stuff, and then I gave him a quote. So that is something that I like. That's part of the remarkable content framework that I have. It's like you are using subject matter expert. So it is definitely something you should be featuring on your website. The last thing I was going to say that you need, and these are just ideas. You could probably expand on this, but is most everybody has offers and products. So
Yeah.
we don't think about that. But yes, you can remix offers and products and remix content for the offers and products. I've done that with the content flyover and some of the other offers that I've created in the last year. You create a piece of content that you put out on a channel that links back to your product or your offer. And I'll give you a story from a couple of weeks ago, and this actually leads into the next thing I was going to talk about is reimagining your content. I like reimagining as much as I do remixing. It's just harder to say. Remix is easier to say. I created a Gemini gem, which is the same as a GPT and Chat GPT. Only they're private. They're not. Right now, Gemini doesn't have them set up to be public. So it's a little Gemini gem, and it's actually called Reimagine 10X, because what you do is you take a piece of content and it reimagines or gives you ideas, 12 to 15 ideas. And so I was testing it, and so I put a post on Facebook in a group I'm in. I'm in a couple of AI groups, but this was an AI group. And this lady that I've known for a while, she DMs me and she said, "Well, this is what I have." And I'm thinking, a piece of long form content, a blog article, that kind of thing. What she had was an offer she was about to launch, and it was in a Google document. So it's like, okay, this will be interesting. So I actually put it in there, and it gave me, I think, 12 ideas to help her create, remix content to help her with the launch. And she said, there's about 3 or 4 really good ideas here without so much. There were more than that, but what it was is low friction ideas. They were things that didn't take too much to do. The gem is something that I created. I actually hope to, it's actually based on a big prompt, but I just dropped it in the Gemini. I may make another one on another platform, but I haven't done it. And I can actually keep adding to that to create more, because I really want more than 12, 15. 12, 15 is good. It's a great place. It's a great starting point. Imagine if you had 50 ideas generated. Yeah. You're not going to do all 50, no. But it's like you got some ideas to work from. Not only that, but it sparks other ideas in you. So I think in terms of reimagining your content. So you got a really good piece of content. I've been thinking lately, and this is something that kind of bothers me in the B2B world and MarTech. It's also corporate-y. They might say they're not, but they are. And then whenever they get a hold of something that's not so corporate-y, they kind of get giggly. Let's do some comics. I was playing with that last night. Like, okay, can I do comics here? Can I do comics there? It's really not that hard. So I've got ideas now for creating a comic-like stories to reimagine some content. But anyway, okay, so that is one thing. So reimagine, think outside the box, something different than your industry already does. If your industry is really corporate-y or, kind of conservative, be a little spicy with your content idea. You will stand out. You'll be a lot different. These are things we've already talked about. Repurpose in a new format, which we talked about. Use strong engagement from your formats. A lot of people are doing carousels on LinkedIn now. I think it's already hit jumped the shark. but it was a new thing, and people started doing it, and it got really good engagement. So people kept doing it. I don't know
Kept doing
what
it.
I don't know what will be new. Some people are doing videos. Videos haven't quite taken off like I thought they would there, but definitely you could do video. I want to talk about creating interactivity. What can you do that's interactivity? I have done a little bit of that recently with the help of Manus, and just kind of like an interactive form, interactive tool. Those are types of things that you can do that are reimagining content. Take that content, especially if it's something that teaches something, you can turn it into a micro course. You can turn it into some kind of interactive tool, which is much easier to do now if you're a no coder, using something like Manus or ChatGPT, and then lean into the story. Because that when you get on a channel outside of your website, and even on your website for that matter, the story, finding the story, that angle is something that hooks people and engages people.
Your story
And
matters, folks. Yeah.
yeah, so that is the art of the remix.
Yeah. Hey, Todd, thanks for sharing. Appreciate it as always. Go on over to Copyfight, find out what Todd does. Join us every couple of weeks. Todd jumps on with me and we talk about copywriting, how to help you. And go hire Todd. He can help you and do it faster probably than you can. So thanks again, buddy. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Todd for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.